And welcome back, everyone, to Box Office Report. Today on the 14th of December, 2025. We only got, 16 days left into the year? 17. 17 days. 7 days until the end of the year. Man, it's coming up fast. We have, for the box office this week, I actually did get it right. Except for number 4 spot. That came in out of nowhere. Which I'm going to talk about that because something's not adding up with that in my head. But we'll get to it when we get to it. Zootopia 2 made another $26.3 million, dropping 39.4%. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 made $19.5 million, dropping almost 70%, which I'm not surprised. Wicked for Good made $8.5 million, dropping about 50%. Oh, God, I will do my best here, but okay, so Durandar. I think I did this one just already. Durandar made $3.5 million, dropping 14 screens, but going up 76.8%. I'm going to tell you why the math isn't quite mathing, but it's not as something like egregious as, say, like Nisa 2 or something like that. And then, Now You See Me, Now You Don't, $2.3 million for number 5 spot. It's not anything, that crazy. I'm also going to get Rotten Tomatoes up here so I can check something when I go into that Durandar explanation. Okay, so get that up, let that load, moving on. Okay, but let's talk about the big boy on the block right now. The main man, Zootopia 2, didn't just cross the $1 billion mark. It flew past the $1 billion mark. It was at, last week, before we got to this week, around $950-something million, if I remember correctly. Or it was like $960, something like that. It was damn near close to $1 billion. It was like a couple 50 million plus off, but less than 100 million. It was in the 900s. It was close. We knew it was going to cross $1 billion. It didn't just cross it, though. It kind of flew past it. Because it didn't just make $1 billion. It just make 1.3 or 1 billion. It currently stands right now, if I remember checking. Actually, I can just do this if I want to be honest. I think it stands as the 30th. And if we're taking Nisa 2 out of the equation, which you should, it's actually because Nisa 2, again, Nisa 2, nothing adds up. Nisa 2 says 1.9 in the worldwide, but says worldwide for this year, but then says 2.1 for the worldwide of all time. Nothing adds up about that. So you cannot use Nisa 2 as, it's not a legit number. It's just not. So that being said, Zootopia 2 currently stands as, if we take that out of the equation, the 32nd highest grossing film of all time. Look, Disney's been struggling this year. It currently is the highest grossing film of the year, because again, F Nisa 2. And I'm not saying that for the quality of the movie. I'm talking about all the political stuff that goes with what happened with that movie and why it's being ranked in this sense. Like it's such a large amount of crap that I don't want to keep going into it. But every time I'm talking about the all times and movies for this year, I got to talk about it because you're going to get the one person who says, no, Nisa 2 is legit. No, it's not. Regardless. This is fantastic, first and foremost, because it's a great movie. It really is. I think I like the first one just a smidge better. But admittedly, the mystery is a bit better here than it is in the original. I think the new characters they introduced worked really well. I like the further exploration of Nick and Judy's relationship. Their friendship, at any rate. It still looks good. There's some good jokes. It's just a good family vibe. And with the holiday season, it is benefiting immensely because it's really, when you break it down, if you actually look at what's currently out in theaters, I'd have to go to my Cinemark page. There's no family films out. Like, yeah, you could say Wicked 2 kind of is a family film, but it's got some dark themes in there. It's really not a family film. There might be kids who go and see it and love it, but I'm just saying it's not a family film. What else do you have out beyond that? Like, not much. Like, let me get my Cinemark page up here. And look, this isn't verbatim what's in every single theater in the country. This is just what's in my Cinemark. But it gives you the general idea of what's in theaters. If we're looking at what's currently in theaters right now, we have, I believe that's still Zootopia 2, right? No, what is this right now? Okay, there we go. Zootopia 2, still in theaters, obviously. Five Nights at Freddy's, not a kid's film, not a family film. Wicked for Good, no. L.L. McClay, no. Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Not enough to count. David Early actually, no, I mean, yes, but very niche crowd. Ron Howard's The Grinch got re-released, so no. Rental Family, that's a no. Running Man, no. Nuremberg, hell no. One Battle After Another still around and one showing, so no. There's no showing. There's no movies out right now that are family oriented. So absolutely, Zootopia 2 is going to be cleaning house right now. Now, this coming week, we finally have one contender to slap it off the throne, and it will probably beat it this coming week in the SpongeBob movie, Search for SquarePants. Now, you know, I'm going to have to check that before we're done with this, what the other SpongeBob movies did. But in terms of at least the domestic box office, I have no doubt it's going to knock it off the pedestal. Obviously, this week's going to be Avatar: Fire and Ash. No one's going to argue that. No one in their mother or father is going to argue that. But the fact is, man, if this film ended right now, it would still end as not only the highest grossing film until Avatar shows up, but the 32nd highest grossing film of all time until Avatar shows up. So it's still now cemented in the all-time highest grossing films, but it's only in its third week. It's got gas in the tank still. We're still in the holiday season. There's enough to go around. I mean, when we look at where it currently stands, it says 33. We'll just look at it as 33 right now. It's the 32nd, but whatever. It's easily crossing that. I mean, 1.2 to 1.3, maybe even 1.4 is not out of the realm of possibility. But I think I might cap it like this. What would be the 17th here is actually the 16th. The 16th highest grossing mark. I think capping it at the 1.4 is the safe approach right now. Just because domestically, it does not have a lot. I mean, it's got some juice left, absolutely. But obviously, SpongeBob's going to take a crowbar to that. Even Avatar will take a little bit of some chunks of that, because it's still kind of a family picture to some degree. Families do take their kids to these. But everyone's going to be doing pretty well for the entirety of December. And then January is going to come, and you'll basically have a little bit of that doldrum month coming in, where it's going to kind of actually be beneficial for it, because there's not much in the way of new releases coming out during January. Nothing in terms of anything big. Let me get next year up real quick here. I should actually get ready to retire, because I go to Movie Insider for my movie rosters here. But I should get ready to retire this, because I'm on the last legs of 2025. I need to go all the way to 2026 now. Fun fact, if you go to Movie Insider, come on, there we go. It will go all the way to the latest movie we know coming, which is apparently in 2031. Now, I'm not currently looking up what the movie in 2031 is. I'm looking for next year, but still, it's a fun fact about Movie Insider. Yeah, I like Movie Insider just for looking at the schedule of movies. Okay. So what do we got for January right now? We got Greenland 2, Migration, Primate, Soulmate, so lots of mates that day a week. That's like 3 main big releases too. Holy crap. Soulmate and Primate are both going to be and they're both major studios too. They're both going to be directly competing with each other. Look, I know that we often sometimes say there's enough to go around, but when you got 2 direct genre films competing against each other, and neither are going to be big, huge movies, that's going to kill both of those films. Greenland's probably going to end up with that weekend, maybe, if it's lucky. And then you got 28 Years Later, The Bowen Temple. That one might count as a decent-sized release, all things considered. Mercy, which I don't quite know what that is. Oh, no, that's the, if I remember correctly, that's the Chris Pratt, like, he's got to solve his own case thing. Return to Silent Hill, H is for Hawk. I have no idea where that's okay. The Moment, whatever that is. Send Help. Is that the one where they're on the island? Because I want to see that one. That one looks good. But yeah, January has that's exactly what it is. So January is going to have 1 or 2 decent releases, but nothing that's going to hurt anything that's coming out right now. Like Avatar is going to clean house throughout January. Clean effing house. And, Zootopia 2 will still be able to reap some benefits from that in the long term. Anyway, coming up next, we have Five Nights at Freddy's 2, making $19.5 million. Okay. and dropping basically 70%, 69.5%. And I really, really wish I could say I was surprised by this, but I think I called it that this thing was going to have a pretty big drop off this week, which is why I picked Zootopia 2 to be number 1 again. Yeah, it opened to less than the original did. But that being said, it's not made on that much more than the original. I believe 30 million. So you factor in 30 million for the marketing budget too. I think that's reasonable. Maybe even you would be nice and say 40 million. They really didn't do a huge amount with the marketing anyway, so I'd lean more towards the 30 to be honest. So you're looking at a film made on 60 million, it had to hit about 90 million. Well, the film cleared that no freaking problem. In fact, hold on, let me be 1000% sure on that. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 budget. Let me be sure, just damn sure about that. Let me just be, no, I was completely wrong on that. I apologize. I think I had to average that out when it was all said and done to about 44 million. That's what I averaged it out on. So then I decided, oh, hi. Oh, that's cute. You look it up and you get the eyes. That's cute. I like it when Google does those little things. So I apologize. It's about 44-ish, 43, 44 when you average it out. So you then factor probably more like 40 million in marketing. I'd say that'd be reasonable. You don't want to break the bank on the marketing budget. That being said, that means you're looking at a film still made on about $84 million. And I remember doing the math now on this last week too, which means all this film had to actually do, all it had to do was hit 126 million, give or take, to break even. Now that might sound like a lot, or that might not sound like a lot, but a lot of films would kill to make that kind of money, especially smaller films. And now this film has blown past that. Now, I don't know for a fact if this film is actually going to make more than the original Five Nights at Freddy's did. That's actually a really good question. Let's find out. Five Nights at Freddy's. What did the original Five Nights ultimately make? It was almost 300 million, if I remember correctly. It was a lot for the very meager budget it was on. And that's almost 300. 291, and it opened to 80 million. And that was with a day and date release. Mind you, it's Peacock. We have Peacock. Me and my girlfriend actually use it quite a bit. It's probably along with HBO Max and Disney Plus, the 3 big streaming services we use the most. Actually, we use Netflix a lot too. So those are your 4. Don't use Paramount. Don't use Amazon really. Hulu occasionally, but Hulu is bundled with the Disney Plus. Anyway, so I don't think this is going to get to that amount. But the fact is, the film now has turned a very nice profit. If the film ended here, it would have not made anywhere near as much as the first movie, but it would still be profitable enough that if they wanted to do another one, they could do it and justify doing it. So I get it. I'm not judging them for it. It's business. And look, did I enjoy this movie? No. This is on par with one of the worst films of the year for me. Spoilers for the top 10 worst list this year, but this is definitely going to be in the high end of the worst list. And it's not because I didn't play the games. I don't know the lore. It's a bad movie. Like I hate people who try to justify it. It's like, well, if you understand it, no. Don't give me that bullshit excuse. Because any movie that is adapted for something has to be adapted for general audience, not just fans. Because if it's just fans, you're almost never going to get your money back. Because you're just trying to appeal that niche demographic. Well, it's a huge IP. It's like, yeah, people know it. That doesn't mean people all love it. Like, if it were so huge, like, hypothetically, if hundreds of millions of people do play Five Nights at Freddy's, which is almost certainly true, by the way, like, I fully believe it, hundreds of millions of people, it would have made far more than just almost 300 million. That's the big argument against anyone who's talking about, like, fandom or something like that. Hell, even the Mario Brothers movie, which was a huge success, $1.3+ billion. Do you know how many freaking people know who Mario is and play Mario? That's 1 billion people plus easy. So if you just do by the average movie ticket, which these days is like between $12 and $15, you're talking about a film that, in theory, based on that number, should have made close to $15 billion. But that's not how math works. That's how math works, but that's not how reality works. You can't make something solely for the fandom. It needs to be adapted and palatable for the whole general audience. And this just wasn't. Not for me. I'm not saying, and I mentioned this in the review, there are things in the movie I did like. I like the whole concept of the marionette. I actually really liked that character as a whole. There are a couple good kills and creeps and stuff like that. I personally didn't think the acting was that bad. I thought the actors were fine. I think the script they just had was terrible. That's really what it came down to. Anyway, I digress. So, like, look, if you liked it, God bless you. I mean, I've had people comment saying that they liked it, and it's all well and good. You're entitled to like it, but I just, it didn't work for me. But that doesn't matter if it didn't work for me. The point is if it worked for the general audience, and even though the general audience score, now that I got Rotten Tomatoes actually up now, I should probably do it that way. Just talk about it until this thing fully loads. Look, this is one of those huge ass. Look at this. This is one of those huge ass disparities where it's 16% of the critics liked it, but 86% of the audience liked it, and that's where your money goes, and that's where it's showing where it's going. Now, I want to look up, see if I can find that Dahanpar, if it's here or not. Doesn't look like it is here. It doesn't look like it's got a Rotten Tomatoes score here, which is fine. It's not that big a deal. Just was trying to look it up for like what maybe the critical reception was to this film to kind of justify the increase. But we'll talk about that in just a second. Real quick, Wicked for Good dropped about 50% this week. Again, even though it's not doing anywhere near as well as the first one did, it's still having a really good run, all things considered. The holiday, again, rush is really helping it out as well. Yeah, it's not going to make $500 million. The first one made some 127 or 29 million, I want to say. So it's definitely not going to make anywhere near as much as the original did. But it was, if you look at the budget, actually made out a bit less than the original with a less of a marketing budget. So it did help it out quite a bit because of that. So it did still turn a profit, which is great. Not much else to say. Okay, Duran Har. So first off, I mean, this does happen. I'm not saying this doesn't happen. I'm just saying why, for me, the math isn't mathing quite right. $8.8 million. Okay, what is that? And I'm saying it's like, this isn't like a Nisa 2 thing where it's so ridiculous that it's actually impacting the overall numbers in a way that's negative. And someone's clearly inflating their own ego with that one. Now but you see it here. It's only on 377 screens, and it lost 14 screens. It didn't increase at all. Now, it's not like it increased by 100% from 1,000%, like we see when films do get big, theater distribution or something like that. That's not the case, which is why I'm not like completely against what happened here. But I'm just saying, you're already on tiny, tiny screens. Or tiny amount of screens. You lost a certain amount of those screens. That math usually will indicate that even if you were to go up, it's not going to be that much. But that tells me that, assuming this is true, which I'll be honest, I don't have much reason to doubt it is. I'm just saying it looks a little suspicious. But this does happen. I need to reiterate that. This does happen. So, oh God, I just realized Five Nights at Freddy's 2 got 167 more screens and it still dropped nearly 70%. What happens if it didn't get the screens? Hell, what happens if it lost screens? How big of a drop would have it been? Anyway, so what it tells me, though, is that this is apparently a really good film, because the only way that could have happened is if it was word of mouth and repeated business. That's the only way that could have happened. And I mean, keep in mind the theater that these or the place that these theaters probably are probably like not hot button, but hot bustling kind of socialite kind of areas, like the LA area, the New York area, things like that. So that may have helped it out quite a bit too. I'm not saying this isn't legit. I'm just saying when you look at like the numbers in front of you, something looks a little off with that. But again, it's not too bad. Now You See Me, Now You Don't made her $2.3 million, dropping about 31.8 million, or 31.8%. Now it stands at $213.3 million. It's pretty close to done its run. It didn't have like the strongest reviews, but look, it hung in there, and it's the lowest of the three. No, it's not going to be able to get any sort of second wind, or even if it did get extra 50, it'd still be the lowest of the three. But the fact is, it still was able to kind of eke out a second, just a small profit, I'll mind you, but a profit nonetheless, from what I could tell based on the numbers. It's made on about 90 million. You probably would assume about 50-ish for this franchise. They're not going to put the full 90 in. That actually would not make a lick of sense, because the films have only made like 300 some odd million each, and the second one went down from the first. So you're not going to make a $90 million film, put 90 million in marketing, which, by the way, we did not see anywhere near enough marketing to suggest that they did. Most likely it's closer to about 50, which would be a conservative and proper number, I'd say, to do that. Usually you put about half your marketing budget. Sorry. The marketing budget is either half of the production or equivalent to the production. Only on the biggest films, like, say, Avatar, or your Avengers films, or your Star Wars or something like that, do you go beyond the budget sometimes for actual marketing. But those are rare exceptions. But here would be a case where I think you do probably about 50 million. So that would mean it's roughly on like a $140 million overall budget. And so if you do the math, that means this film was able to just barely eke a profit out. It was barely able to break even, but still, breaking even is better than going broke, which for Lionsgate this year is all you can really do. Jujutsu Kaisen Execution, still around 2.1 million. Man, like, it's interesting. We saw what Demon Slayer did, and Demon Slayer went off the rails. Then we saw Chainsaw Man, not even close to off the rails, but still did relatively well. And now I got Jujutsu Kaisen, which I'm wondering if it's because of popularity of the anime or the arc in general. Because Jujutsu Kaisen is still popular. It's not like Chainsaw Man is also exceptionally popular. Demon Slayer was a huge hit. Like, it was a smash hit of a manga. So I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. Again, it could just be the arc they're going with. But also Demon Slayer had the advantage of basically kind of ending its entire story with these movies. So there's that to think over. Eternity is around 1.7, right? Or 17 million. Well, I actually did call it right, 1.7. I actually meant to say 17 million, and I ironically said that. It's not making its money back, but I liked Eternity. Eternity is a nice little film. Hamnet, 1.4 million. It's not doing much in terms of box office, quite frankly. Then you have Predator Badlands, which was right around 1.81 million. Let me try that again. $181 million. You want to talk about just a let. I mean, it didn't lose money yet. Did it lose all the money? Hell no, it didn't lose all the money. And I've seen people like say, "Oh, we told you it was gonna bust." Like, why are you celebrating that? What do you gain apart from the fact that you were right about a good movie not doing well? Like, those people just are sad. Otherwise though, it was a fairly okay week at the box office. It was over 60 million, which is good. It wasn't over by much, mind you, but it was over 60 million. I think it came just over 70 million when you total it all up, which is still not a bad weekend at the box office. But obviously, we're finally here, folks. December 19th, we have not just Avatar Fire and Ash, which will be number one, but also The Housemaid, which hasn't been doing a huge amount of marketing, but I'm interested in The Housemaid. I'm interested in The Housemaid, dear. Let's get the camera. But no. And then the SpongeBob Search for SquarePants movie. So obviously, I'm going to go with the Avatar Fire and Ash. I will then go. That's right. I meant to look up what SpongeBob SquarePants. Let's see what the SpongeBob movies have done. Okay, so the original SpongeBob movie in 2004 opened to 32 million. Okay, they went on to make 141 million against a $30 million budget. Cool, great, perfectly reasonable. Sponge Out of Water, 2015. That opened on 55 million and went on to make $325 million. So huge uptick. Okay, so right now our neighboring amount is around between 33 and 55. But then we have Sponge Out of Water. Now, this one, I don't know how we can really judge. It's just not impossible to judge this one simply due to the fact that it came out during the pandemic. August during the pandemic. So yeah, that one you just can't judge it properly. So right now we're looking at an average of, roughly speaking, $42 million for an opening weekend for SpongeBob movies. So I feel very safe in saying that it will be number 2 next week. Okay, so there's that. Now, after that, though, it gets a little tricky. I will probably go with... Ooh. The question comes down to The Housemaid. What does that do? Because I'm going to go on a limb and say that Zootopia 2, it still does right around 50 next week, but it's going to have both Avatar and SpongeBob. So 50 I'm being nice on, but I think 50 is still in that range. So there's a Housemaid open a higher than that, which would be about 14-ish million, give or take. 13 to 14. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it does. I'm gonna go Zootopia 2. Why don't I think that? We haven't. Now, granted, I say that, but it is based off a book. So how well known is the book? And it's got 2 very well known actresses, Amanda Seyfried and Sydney Sweeney. It looks creepy. It's also got sex appeal to it. So it's mystery, like what's going on. Ooh, this actually is kind of tricky. Okay, because it is based on an existing property, but we didn't get, it's not like the Martin trailers are bad, we just didn't do anything else with the trailers. We've only had that one trailer, as best I can find. So it's got really mild marketing to it. I'm going to say The Handmaid. I could be wrong on this. Then I'll go Zootopia 2. And then I guess I'll still say Five Nights at Freddy's. It's probably going to be dropping another huge drop next week, but I'll still say Five Nights. It'll still probably be higher than anything below it. So yeah, that'll be my prediction for next week, but that is going to be a fun week next week. Also, where do you think, what do you think of the box office? What do you think the reason for that Durandar getting that big of an increase despite the numbers kind of not helping it? What do you think that's about? How far do you think Zootopia 2 will go? What do you think Avatar Fire and Ash is going to open up on? Well, last Avatar opened much higher than the first one. Didn't make as much, but still overall, but still opened to like 120 something. And this one might open to more. It's kind of being ramped. We're kind of ramping it up a little bit. So I don't know. I'm going to conservatively say 150, maybe up to 170, if we're going by like the incremental increases that they've kind of been going up by. But I actually do think it'll also be the lowest grossing one of the group. Anyway, I digress. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one. Later.